Out of all the Wheel of Time episodes, I feel like this one was the most aptly named for the entire adaptation. If there were ever any doubts after season 1, this episode proved that this truly is what was meant to be. Hey, this is the Sword and the Pen Reflections. It is my casual alternative to that channel. We're going to be looking at Amazon's Wheel of Time, Season 2, Episode 8, which is the second season finale. We're going to look at it the same way that we've been looking at all the other ones, you know, one character arc at a time, even though they kind of converge at the end, but whatever. I do want to go into this saying once again that I do not dislike any of the casting. These actors, I think, are fine. There's only so much you can do with a script that literally wasn't finished by the time they were on set starting to film. If you haven't caught that in any of my other videos, Brandon Sanderson did expose that they were literally being handed scenes and going, so we haven't finished the rest of the episode, but here, just shoot this and it'll be fine. What do you expect? So anyway, that's all I gotta say on the issue. I've got plenty of complaints, but there's obviously a lot of work that has gone into this show, and I feel just so bad for everybody who has put their heart and soul and all their effort into it. But this process must be eliminated, because if it isn't, you're just gonna get crap like this forever. So Hollywood needs to fix this process, or it's just not gonna end well. Anyway, please like, subscribe, and comment, even if it's just with an emoji. It's totally free for you, and for me, it might help me make some money on this video, which is really hard to do because Amazon claims the hell out of my footage. This is why it takes me so long to get my videos out to you guys, and why my last one had like almost no comical clips or whatever, because I integrate them into the footage from the show. They claimed in my last video about 75 to 80% of my video. And if you watched it, it's mostly me in front of my bookshelf. But they were still saying that's our footage. So I don't know how to fight that. I do my best. And when I say that they claim it and block it, as in I can't even put it out there and just not make money on it. I just can't put it out there. So I do my best to manipulate the hell out of it, and I speed footage up and tilt it and zoom in and do all kinds of weird stuff. It's the best I can do, trying to get it out to you guys. But it's looking like they just aren't lifting whatever restrictions that they have on this show. Like, it used to be much easier to put clips in, and so I'm doing my best. Anyway, we're getting sidetracked. Where was I? Oh yeah, otherwise, if you have money and you're feeling generous, check out my Patreon, Ko-fi, or hit the money heart thanks button down below. You can become a subscriber, even for just $1 a month, or you can leave me a one-time tip, also just for $1, and I appreciate anything. That's it, let's go. The first scene is a flashback to 3,000 years ago. We've got Lews Therin has captured Ishamael, and he's surrounded by a bunch of those male Aes Sedai, and they're having a conversation. And it starts out with basically revealing Ishamael wants to break the wheel. He wants existence to be nuked, and that's it. And Lews Therin is like, I don't know why you thought I would be on board with this, but I'm not. And then Ishamael's like, well, fine, then just kill me and we'll do this again in our next life.
When you have a bad day, give up. It. Try again tomorrow.
And that's when Lews is like, no, I'm tired of that. We're going to seal you, and it'll be like your consciousness will be there, but you won't actually be conscious. It'll be like being in a dream for whatever, and you'll just stay like that forever. I mean, what he's doing is horrible, but I mean, to be fair, Ishamael apparently wants to destroy existence, so...
If you are feeling underappreciated at work or in life, it is you. You are the problem.
The thing that this is revealing, I believe, is just what were Ishamael's original intentions, which we kind of already got at this point. We already knew what it was. He wants everybody to not exist. So the point of this isn't revealing any new information. I mean, there's nothing here that's happening that I don't think we didn't already know, except now we get to see it play out, which, I mean, that's fine, but it's not a very useful prologue for the finale. That, again, fine. I have no idea if this is book accurate. I did not get to any scene where this is played out for the reader to imagine, but I also don't seem to recall that Ishamael wanted to destroy existence. That's new to me, unless I missed something or I forgot something. I feel like I've read so many different things with the different Forsaken. I might be mixing him up with somebody else, but anyway. Here's my one big question about this. There's this thing in the books called Balefire. And it is essentially deleting somebody from the game. Like, you no longer exist. You're no longer in the universe. It's as if you never were. Why doesn't Ishamael in the show just ask Rand to Balefire him? Because then he can get his wish. Like, just ask him, like, look, I'm going to keep fighting the hell out of you. I want to be deleted. So just go for it. Like, I'll help you learn how to do it, and then you can do it to me. That would be the simplest solution to all of this. Why all this weird gambling with Mat and the dagger and what? It's like, we all die or nobody dies. What does it matter if you don't exist? Oh, whatever. So we're going to follow Ishamael because we might as well. He was in the prologue. We've got Ishamael noticing that Lanfear is there. Like, what the hell are you doing here? She's like, oh, I brought Rand. And he's like, it's too soon. We're not ready for him yet. And she's like, he's either going to help us or he's not. No amount of delaying is going to, matter. And she says, like, I know you would delay this and delay this forever. It would just go on forever. Is he suicidal or not? Because that's not usually how this works. And plus the whole Balefire thing just kind of wipes this out. I mean, at least my understanding of what Balefire is. So what? Does he want to die or not? What? Why can't he just ask Rand to obliterate him? I don't understand this. But he's like, why did I wake you? And Lanfear's like, well, it's because I balance you. And he goes, and I you. And he talks about how, he's not ready to join us. And she's like, oh, he will. I'm like, what does it matter if he joins you or not? Wouldn't it be better if he doesn't join you, if you want him to obliterate you? I think he must have it in his head. Like, if I'm trying to understand what the mentality is supposed to be, what it is intended by the writers to be, he wants everybody to die or nobody. Like, it's so weird. It doesn't make sense. If it's like, if he's obliterated, what does it matter if everybody else still lives? Whatever. I still don't understand what the plan is here. Even though it's like, oh, well, I'm gonna manipulate Mat into killing Rand. Oh gosh, what is the plan? And it's really weird that there's this little bit of dialogue here where Lanfear goes, I told Rand that I would help him kill you. And then Ishamael's like, oh, will you? Like, almost hopeful. Why not just walk up to him right now and do that? Be like, look, here's me and Lanfear up here up to Rand and like, hey, I really don't want to exist anymore. Can you just delete me? You don't need an elaborate plan for this. Just apparate in front of him wherever he is and ask. I don't get this. What am I missing? Am I missing something? I must be missing something. It's entirely possible I'm missing something. And it's like, he sounds like he wants Rand to join the Forsaken, but he wants everybody to stop existing, and mostly the Forsaken just want the Dark One to win so that they themselves can have power. In the next scene, we've got Ishamael walking with Paddan Fain, and Ishamael's all upset that Lanfear has betrayed them. Lanfear has betrayed us. And Paddan Fain's like, how? She's sworn to the Dark One, and she's been granted eternal life. So, because Ishamael was like, we need to wipe her from the board. What does it matter? I can't. Why am I asking these questions? So then we get what Ishamael's plan is, apparently, and it's told through this really awkward dialogue. This is writing 101 for TV. Don't write your dialogue so that it is apparent. It's just exposition between two characters who would already know all this information, and it's being said so that we, the audience, can hear it, and it's very obvious. You can convey this information without being so blatant, but basically here's how it goes. Ishamael says,
I need you for another task. The dragon might not swear his oaths to us. I need more time.
And Paddan Fain goes,
but you need him to break the wheel.
See, this is something Ishamael would like. And Ishamael responds,
he'll only break the wheel if he turns to the dark.
Would he? I mean, and does he have to? Oh, don't ask these questions or never probe too hard. Otherwise, you're going to realize there are a lot of holes in this plan. Apparently, Ishamael thinks that he will only swear his oaths if he turns, and he will only turn if he thinks it'll save his friends from doing the same. And how are you going to accomplish this? So you have to tempt your friends to turn. And then what? Like, oh, they're going to turn. So he's going to turn to stop them from turning. What? So Shamael's like,
we're going to have to force them right now. Like, we're going to have to push him with force. And, you know, I might have to kill Rand and then wait for his next life. So I guess I have nothing but time. The dragon might not swear his oaths to us. I need more time. I might have to kill Rand and then wait for his next life. So I guess I have nothing but time. I need more time. So I guess I have nothing but time.
so the urgency in this matter has just flown out the window as well. They actually started off this season by implying that there was this ticking clock, but then saying, actually, there isn't. We can just wait forever. And here they're confirming that, yeah, you don't have to do this now. Like, if your plans have been this destroyed, get Mat out of there. Oh my gosh. What? So then we got Ishamael looking at Paddan Fain, and Paddan Fain going, oh, so you want me to kill Rand for you? And Ishamael's like, no. I already know who kills him, and I know what he uses to do it. And he kind of looks down at Paddan Fain's gold-hilted, ruby-hilted dagger, whatever, the dagger, and you can see Paddan Fain kind of like clutch it and like, oh. And the thing is didn't Ishamael just tell Paddan Fain, I have something for you to do? We didn't get to see him tell him what to do. But, I mean, that would have been the thing that whole conversation should have gotten to. Like, I need you. He could have done this. He's like, I've got something else I need you to do. And then just, like, look down at the dagger. And then we see Paddan Fain clutch it like, you can't have it. And then we know, okay, the instructions happened off screen. But they had this long conversation where you're waiting to hear the instructions. And then at the end, he's like, Paddan Fain's like, so what do you want me to do? Like, not the thing you think I want you to do. I gotta go. Then he walks off. Like, what? It's so awkward. This is like the most awkwardly written dialogue. What is happening? So Paddan Fain walks into Mat's room. Mat's like,
dude, what the freak, Paddan Fain? What are you doing here?
And Paddan Fain's like, oh, I've got something for you. And just like unsheathes the dagger and puts it on the table in front of Mat and just sits there. And it's like, Mat is like that kid who goes and takes the candy from strangers. First he grabs the dagger when he shouldn't have. He was literally told, don't touch anything, and then he goes and does it. And then Ishamael comes in and is like, look, I've got some tea for you. And down Paddan Fain. Like, he is so dumb. This is so dumb. Oh my gosh, why are they doing this? I have not watched this episode since I first recorded for it, like, I don't know how long ago. It was a long time ago. And I forgot all about all this crap. This is so dumb. We step away from them for a minute, but then we come back to they're still just sitting there. And thank goodness Mat is like, what makes you think I'm dumb enough to touch that thing again? And Paddan Fain's like, oh, I know you really want it. I know that's why you abandoned your friends to go back to the tower to look for it. I remember it was taken away from him by Moraine and Lan. And then he didn't go through the gate, and it was supposed to be because he was going to go back and get this. The next time we saw him, he was imprisoned by Liandrin. I don't recall any indication that the reason he left was for this. This feels a little bit like retroactive writing. Like,
okay, why did Mat not go with them? It was for the dagger.
The way you would set that up is by showing him constantly thinking about and obsessing over the dagger before that. But see, in the books, Something else to think about at this point is, how the hell did Paddan Fain get the dagger? Moraine and Lan take it from Mat, and then rather than leaving it at the tower to be sealed forever in some dark dungeon, they carry it with them. They get to the Shinaran, whatever, that place, and Paddan Fain breaks in, and we see him, the dagger he's killing Loial with is the ruby dagger, which, Moraine and Lan decided to just leave it on the bedstand? Now, I can get it would have been calling to Paddan Fain. Like, he would know precisely where it is even if they hid it somewhere, which why would she leave it just hidden in her room? Why wouldn't she take it with her to the Eye of the World or leave it with Lan? Like, no, we'll keep it hidden here and it'll be fine. Like, if we die, nothing bad will happen. Anyway, they didn't show Paddan Fain stealing the dagger back. They never show him taking it back. And suddenly he's here with the dagger. This is like a writing scene. This scene was missing. You literally could have done this with 2 shots. Paddan Fain opening a door, then that's the only shot you need of an actor you actually know of. Then you can have an entire B crew film this, where or B unit, they're looking at a nightstand or whatever, and the camera pushes in on it, like there's something sinister in there, and then we could see his hand open the drawer and there's the dagger. That's all you would have had to do. It would have taken like 20 minutes of setup if they've already got the room lit, like in that scene where Moraine and Lan were having that conversation the night before where she was like,
you know, I really like that wisdom. You should go bang her.
Hey, what you trying to say to me?
What? Who did this? Oh, this is a result of having multiple writers writing various scenes that are shot separately before the whole episode's even done being written, before the whole season is done being written. And then you end up like this, going, we're at the end of season 3 and we need Paddan Fain to have the dagger. I know we never showed that he acquired it, and it makes really no sense that he ever could, but he does. So please like, subscribe, and comment, even if it's just with an emoji. It's a free way to support this channel. Or if you're feeling generous, check out my Patreon, Ko-fi, or hit the Money Heart Thanks button down below. You can become a subscriber or leave me a one-time tip. Anything is much appreciated. Now let's get back to it. Anyway, so Paddan Fain's like,
Come on, you want to touch the dagger? I know you want to.
I don't feel like Paddan Fain, who would be so possessive of this dagger anyway, would be like, yeah, sure, I'll just pass it off to him. But he's like, you're not a hero. You've got the darkness in you and you know it. And, you know, that would be the real courageous thing to do, would be to embrace that role. You're not a hero like in some Gleeman's Tale. And it's like, that's the worst way to seduce somebody to the dark side. Like, you know you're a bad guy. This is kind of juvenile. I mean, what you would want to do is present the temptation as the good thing, the thing that Mat actually wants. You wouldn't want to present it as, you're the bad guy who's going to betray everybody, so just do it. That's not the way to do this. But anyway, he's like, Mat's like, I'm not touching it or whatever, I don't know. And then Paddan Fain's like, you know what, I'm just going to leave that here with you, alone in this room with your thoughts on that dagger. We know what's going to happen. And then he leaves. So then we get to Lanfear, who has approached Master Doman. Remember the poor sailor merchant whatever dude that Moraine scammed in the beginning of this season? So she's like, yeah, you remember that piece of broken Quendiar that I sold you a while back? And he's like, yeah. And she's like, oh, I think that when this city falls, there's going to be 6 more that are fully intact I can get hold of. And he's like, what good will it be if we're dead because the city is under attack? You know, and he was trying to convince her to leave, that, you know, you're such a good lady. And she's like, oh no, I don't want to sell them when we get them. I want you to take them out to the deepest part of the ocean and drop them in so that nobody will ever find them again. Like, it's that easy. And even if it is, why doesn't she just do it? Like, she doesn't have some means of getting a boat out into the ocean and dropping them. This is like, this is basically what I keep thinking of Dr. Evil.
Close the tank!
Wait, aren't you even gonna watch them? They could get away.
No. I'm going to leave them alone and not actually witness them dying. I'm just going to assume it all went to plan. What?
It's like, it's so weird. There's really no reason for why she wouldn't just do it herself. Yeah, it's funny how she's like, he's like not really cool with doing this, but then she's like, oh, don't worry, I'll make it worth your while. And she holds up the tiniest purse. Like, she should have been like, I've got like buckets of this somewhere else, or I don't know. But like, he's like, okay, I'll do that. I mean, what he was trying to sell, like a broken piece of Quendiar, was worth a fortune. Whatever. The bargaining skills of this guy are so bad, so bad. He should have been like, yeah, I'm gonna need like 50 more of those little purses, by the way. But so she orders him to go to the docks and get the boat ready. She's like, yeah, I'll bring this stuff to you. If you can bring him the thing, like, oh my gosh, I'm dying. What is happening? Why? Her eyeshadow is so evil looking. I kind of love it. So now we get to Lady Suroth, and she's all pissed off that she's not out there on the front lines making a name for herself in this last battle. They've been under siege for a while. Ishamael comes in and is dusting off his hands, and dust comes off of him. So he's done something, which we get the reveal at the end. But he comes in and he asks, is she on the tower like I required? So he's got Egwene up on the tower as bait for Rand. But she's all pissed at this. She's like, it should be me on the tower now that Turok, that's her brother who was basically the Lord, whatever. And Shamael's all freaked out, like,
What? Turok is dead?
Yeah, and the horn is stolen.
If you remember, you gave it to Turok for safekeeping.
because see, the horn was stolen off screen. Like, we don't get to see it get stolen. It just happens. So that line was given to us so that we, the audience, would be like, how was the horn stolen? Oh, that's right. It was given to him by Shamael for safekeeping. His plan's not working out very well, and whatever. Because, yeah, Rand killed him, killed Turok. He's trying to lure Rand to the tower. Rand shows up, and he's all freaked out about it. So he goes, okay, here's what you're gonna do. You've held all the strongest Amane in reserve like I asked you to, right? She's like, yes. And he's like, okay, you're gonna put them on a boat and put that boat right below the tower and tell them not to act until my signal. And then he goes, oh, do they know how to gentle a man? And they're like, of course. And he's like, okay, fine. And then he walks out, and then Suroth and her little friend go like, share a little smile. Like, was their intention to shield him and then control him, or was it actually to gentle him? Because they don't gentle him. Doesn't even seem like they try to. Anyway, we'll get there. What was Shamael's plan? Because at this point, if the horn was part of the plan, what was it? We don't want Rand and his friends to get a hold of it, but we're not going to use it. So shouldn't they have like sent it to another town or something? Maybe they should have thrown it into the sea. Or if he wanted it for himself, like, we need the horn for our side, then he should have had the horn. Like, give the horn to himself. I will protect the horn. It is like our most valuable asset. But what would even be the point of calling the heroes for him? In the book, they would not fight for the bad guys, I don't think. I might have that wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's how it is. So it's really just about not letting the good guys get it. But then, why would you leave it around? Whatever. Why would you leave it hanging around the town that you know all the good guys are going to be in for this battle? We get back to Mat, who is still in his room, and man, he desperately wants a hit off of that dagger because he's very antsy. And then he's like, okay, here's what I'm going to do. And he pulls a bedpost off whatever and uses it to push the dagger off the table, and then he tears a piece of cloth off of his robe thing and then ties it around the dagger, but he's not touching the dagger technically. I guess this is how Lan was carrying it around, if he was the one who was carrying it around, or was it Moraine? They were carrying this dagger around somehow, so this must have been it, and like, this is all that it took. I mean, like, oh my gosh. How would Paddan, Fain, and Shamael not know that it's this easy to handle this weapon without touching it? Okay. So he uses the dagger on the end of this pole to melt the lock. And you can see Paddan Fain on the outside, and he's like, haha, it only took you an hour, you know, like before you couldn't resist touching it. And then he walks out, and it's like obvious he hasn't actually touched, and he's like, you know what, I've spent my fair share of time in a cell this season. That's what I wanted him to say. He's like, I realized that there's usually more than one way out of them. And yeah, and then he kills a guard, and then Paddan Fain runs off screaming, going, guards, guards! And that was it. How did Mat even know that sticking the dagger in the lock would melt it like that? And why didn't it melt like the table that it was sitting on before? Or, oh, whatever. Mat's running off now with the dagger on this staff. So Mat's run off being chased by guards now, and he goes out into the street and comes across Perrin, who's with, you know, the Aiel, and also Loial now, who has stolen the horn. And there's a moment where he's talking to Perrin like, oh my gosh, it's so good to see you. And then he's like, who are these guys? And he's like almost poking Perrin with the dagger. What? I mean, that's just me being nitpicky at this point, but like, come on, guys. How bad is this dagger supposed to be? It should be a presence on screen at this point, and it's just like a thing. But yeah, so the guards who were chasing Mat show up, and Mat turns to him and is like, I hope your friends can fight. And of course, you know, the Aiel girls are kicking ass, and the Shienarans are kicking ass, especially that one who's like, he's actually got some moves. So, he's actually got moves. So Perrin and Loial are looking up at the tower going, oh my gosh, Egwene is up there, like, what are we gonna do? So the Aiel and the Shienarans are still kicking ass, but we've got Perrin and Loial and Mat just standing there, staring up at the tower where Egwene is supposedly at. And Matt's like, oh, Rand is gonna go wherever she is. And they're like, Rand, are you sure? And he's like, yeah, I've seen him with my own 2 eyes. He's got shit hair, but he's here. Like, that was actually a funny line. It's just like, I don't have tolerance for humor in a joke of a show. I mean, oh gosh. This could have been fun banter if everything else was great, but it's like, oh, you guys. So Loial goes, we gotta get the Horn of Valir to Rand. And Perrin's like, but we don't even know how to open the box that it's in. And then Matt's like, why didn't you say so? And he looks up at his spear, and Loial looks up at the spear, and he goes, oh, of course. Like, he knows what this is. Like, what? This is an example of the writers know that this thing can open the box, but Loial shouldn't know. Like, can he recognize that that is the ruby-hilted dagger? And even if he did recognize that it's that dagger, like, would he know what it does? Nobody really even knew what this thing was. And the first time we ever see it melt something or do something like that was 5 seconds ago. This is also one of those instances where Ingtar and Loial should have known how to open the box because they were there when Turok opened it the first time. Like, they saw the whole, like, you turn these things and then this thing and then it pops open. What they should have done is have, like, okay, the Shinarans know how to open it. Like, at a certain level, maybe that information was passed down to Ingtar. Of course, that wouldn't follow what happens to Ingtar in the books. They don't do that here anyway, so whatever. But if this was my fanfic, I would be like, that information was passed down to Ingtar, and he knows how to open it. They don't just have this dagger that shows up and magically everybody knows it can open up the box. So now we're getting to the execution of Ishamael's big plan. He goes up to the top of the tower, which has been basically destroyed, and it's just Egwene and Rand there. And then Egwene, like, notices him and is gonna do something, but he blasts her off, and then he blasts Rand off, and then he shoots a firework up into the air. And then you see, like, a mile away, there's a bunch of boats, and all of those Aes Sedai with Lady Suroth do their little thing, and they start channeling up there. Now, you have to, I think, I'm 99.999% sure you have to, first of all, be close enough to something to channel to it, but you also have to be able to see the person that you're going to be channeling to. But they just send a wave blindly up to the top of this tower, and they're going to shield somebody. I mean, they're trying to shield Rand, but he doesn't even come into view until, like, the very last second. They've already shot off their little weaves, and he, like, stands up into the line of fire and gets sealed. Or not sealed, shielded. They got him. Ishamael wanted them to shield him so that he could, turn him to the dark side, so he will destroy all of humanity. Oh my gosh, what a convoluted, stupid plan. So Ishamael's like, oh, look at you, all heroic and whatnot, and it's stupid. And then Rand is like, I'm not Luz Theron, and I don't know. This is boring. Anyway, Ishamael goes, oh, look at you, just like in your last life, you know, you're always trying to be so honorable and perfect or whatever. And Rand goes, I'm not Luz Theron. Aren't you? Whatever. This is just awkward. It's like, isn't he trying to be the good guy? Isn't he trying to rescue Egwene? Anyway, Ishamael's like, whatever, you know, maybe it'll be different in our next life. Like, so what is he just, he's just going to slaughter him now? Because then we get a shot of Lady Suroth on the boat telling all the Damane and the Suldam, like, hey, don't gentle him until we get the signal. So he's going to gentle him no matter what. He could still kill him even when he's shielded. So Ishamael then, this is his big temptation that he's going to lay down before Rand. Yeah, I don't want to do this again, and I don't think you do either. Look at her, pointing to Egwene, who's unconscious. Look what you did to her. You know, you left her, and she became a killer. And all your friends are going to become dark if you keep resisting this. How does this even make sense? And he says, this is exactly what you did in your last life. Like, this is what you did to all your friends before and what you're going to do to me, or what you did to me too. Like, he blames Rand for him turning dark. I mean, which is fine. That's actually, that's in line with what how the Forsaken would probably think. But at the same time, like, they just want power. He just wants to destroy everybody and everything and not exist anymore. Just to ask Rand to off you. What is so hard about that? I think he wants to. So Mat finally cracks open the case with the horn, and they pull it out, and suddenly the fight has reached them. And now we got Perrin and Loyal like fighting, and Rand is like, we gotta do something, or what are we gonna do? I'm not gonna leave you guys. And they're like, get the horn to Rand. That's all that matters. None of this matters if he doesn't have it. So they tell him to go. We'll buy you some time. What happened to the girls? I mean, whatever. These are the guys who got past them. But anyway, Matt runs off with the horn. Now, about the design of the horn, I can appreciate that they're like, we want to give it like this modern sort of look, but it's like, so it's not exactly the classic look of a horn. And it's something from ancient times, which were future times. So we got to make it look different. This is a very odd design. I almost would have liked it if they had it almost in the shape of like a conch shell type of horn. I think that would have done a similar thing, but it's very weird looking, but okay. The aesthetic of the horn doesn't bother me that much when there's so many other bigger problems. But anyway, he runs off and he's left Perrin and Loyal to fight with everybody. And I did actually like that one of the Aiel girls takes out two of the guards that slipped past and were about to get Mat. So she, clears that. There's little details like that I can appreciate. It's just, if only everything else was good too. See, the little things, the sprinkles. So Mat makes it up to the top wall where there's the towers over there, but there's like an army of the bad guys. And he's like, I can't run away. I have to get it over there. And he doesn't know what else to do. So he blows the horn and time stands still and a fog comes in behind him and the heroes appear. And he's like, I remember. And I remember everything, like his past lives. And the heroes are there. He's like, oh, you're the heroes of the horn. Did he know what the Horn of Valyr even is? Remember, he was not in Faldara at the end of the last season. So he didn't get the whole spiel about what the horn is. As far as I know, the only time he heard anything about this horn was about 5 minutes ago when Loyal said, this is the Horn of Valyr. We have to get it to Rand. You have to get it to him. I guess it would have been one of those things that, you hear about the legends. Oh, wait, wasn't there a time in Kyrian where they were talking about like, oh, these are the people looking for the horn? I don't know. Does he even know how it works? Oh, whatever. See, these are things you would want. If you're writing this scene, you would want to know, okay, at some point, Mat has to know that you blow the horn and the heroes appear. And the thought is that they would be loyal to whoever blows the horn or whatever. And so he would think that Rand needs to get it, but then he blows it and just something. You should have had that scene, something to let him know what's supposed to happen. I don't think we saw him, maybe I missed it. Somebody else can look back in the show for me because I'm not going to go look back at the old episodes. One thing I have to say, I really do actually like the music here. I thought that this theme for it's like Mat being heroic is really good. It's just a shame that we're not getting the show that deserves this music. Anyway, so he goes, I'm one of you. I'm one of the heroes of the horn. And the one who's obviously Arthur Hawkwing goes,
I have fought with you countless times or countless lifetimes, whatever.
And then another one, a girl, I don't know who she's supposed to be, but she's like, here, hand me the horn. Because obviously we can't have Mat wielding his staff, because he needs two hands. She does this very wuxia thing where she like takes it and it disappears behind her back. Think of it like in a video game. It's like you have this secret ability to like downsize objects and carry them on you without having to carry their weight at all. I think it had something to do with like the sleeves. Like when you got these big ass long sleeves that have pockets, you can carry things and it must look like you've made them disappear, but really they're just there in your sleeves, except hers goes behind her back. Anyway, they invite him to fight with them again and he passes off the horn and then Uno's like,
what are we waiting for?
And then Mat cries out a battle cry in Old Tongue, and then they charge the guards, and then they're fighting them. This moment was very mysterious in the books. It was like this cloud came over, and they took out an entire army. Like, actually, wasn't it two armies? Basically, it was the heroes of the Horn wipe out a huge force. It wasn't just a handful of guards on top of this tower. This was supposed to be a very, very epic moment, followed by an even more epic moment with Rand and Ishamael fighting like giants in the clouds. And we don't end up getting that. I mean, there was a lot of opportunity to have some very cinematic moments in this final battle, and they chose not to do any of them, which is unfortunate. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, Uno is still alive in the books, and he's he wasn't killed awfully, and then he doesn't come back as a hero because he's not a hero of the Horn as far as I know. I actually like this. Like, if you were gonna kill off a character and then you're like, actually, we'll just have him come back and be a hero of the Horn, sure, why not? I heard they did this, though, because Brandon Sanderson was like, why are you killing off this great character? Like, what are you doing? He's supposed to be alive. And so they're like, okay, well, we'll bring him back for you. And then they did it in this way, sort of like to him. I don't know. It's a nice moment. It's not book accurate, but like, I liked that, okay, if they killed him off in the fanfic world, I'm okay. Like, if I'm just judging this as a fanfic, I'd be like, yeah, okay, so you killed him off and then you have him come back as a hero of the Horn. Of course he would be. Why not? It'd be a fun addition to the crew. So I'm okay with it. If you've been resurrected from the dead and you were a hero of the Horn, why is he still missing an eye? Like, if you lose your arm in life, when you come back as a ghost warrior, you still don't have that arm, apparently. Mat's kicking ass and stabbing people left and right. It's amazing that that dagger stays on that bedpost with the little rag that he tied it on with, but whatever. That's okay. I would be more okay with that if I didn't have other problems, but it's fine. It's actually fine. Back up on the tower, apparently Ishamael and Rand have just been standing there waiting for, I don't know what, waiting for the horn to get blown. And Ishamael's like,
All right, time's up. Make your decision. You joining us or not?
what temptation is there? What temptation has there been? And Rand is like,
No, I never will, and I never have in 1,000 lifetimes. I know it.
She's right. You're just like Luz, but different too.
and in the background we can see Mat approach, his music cues, which I like that music. And anyway, Ishamael goes, oh well, I don't even know what he's thinking. And then, yeah, Mat grabs the spear, chucks it at Ishamael, who turns out to be a force projection, and it goes through him and into Rand. This was the plan? Mat's like, oh no, I'm so sorry, and he runs over to Rand, and that's when Ishamael's like, it was such a simple illusion. How could you not see that? Like, he had to inform the audience of what just happened. We know, we got it. You were standing off to the side doing a force projection, we get it. Anyway, he's like, if it's any consolation, I truly am sorry, old friend. Like, I really am, you know? And then he's about to slash Rand. What was the point of stabbing him with the dagger? Like, that's not the kill shot if you have to kill him. What was the point of daggering him to turn him evil? Why not just hand him the dagger? Here you go, touch it, just touch it. What was the plan? Anyway, Egwene intervenes, blasts Ishamael off, and then she stands in front of Rand and Mat, and all defiant, and Ishamael's like, you, child, cannot stand against one of the chosen. And anyway, he starts hurling firecrackers at her, and she's like making this big old shield, and then she starts losing, and then she's like, I'm so sorry, Rand. But then suddenly Perrin, like, he suddenly got real fast, and he's got this shield that Uno, one of the heroes, gave to him. I guess it's supposed to be magical, because now he's shielding her. And this shield disappears after this point, by the way. It should not be making a difference at all if it isn't magical. But anyway, he's using this shield and he's like, it's okay, Egwene, I'm here, and Nynaeve's here also. And Nynaeve shows up completely useless. She's carrying Elayne, who we'll get to what happened there later. It's just so weird that there's like Ishamael blasting Egwene, who has now got Perrin helping shield with, it must be a magic shield because it's the only way it could be making a difference. And then Elayne and Nynaeve pop up and they like hobble over. Like, Ishamael didn't blast them, okay? But anyway, so Elayne comes over and heals Rand, and Rand looks up at her like, who are you? And this was such a tease for all of the book people because they become a thing, but they don't in the show. And they're more than just a thing. I don't know how many spoilers I can give, but I seem to recall they blow it in the second season. So if they were even following the books at this point, Rand actually would know who she is because they met when he climbed over this palace wall, basically, in book, was it 1? Was it 1 or 2? I can't remember. I think it was 1. He climbs into this garden, and it's like her garden, and she's there healing birds and stuff and talking to him, and anyway, I don't know what to say. She's healing his wound. So he's getting healed, and well, mostly, and then Mat's like, Rand, you gotta do something. He's like, I can't, I'm shielded. Fortunately, off in the distance, the way off distance, Moron blasts the entire fleet that is shielding him. And so the shield goes down, he stands up, grabs his heron-marked blade and strolls up to Ishamael and inserts his blade into him. There are way too many ways that this is different from the book. This is a completely different thing from what happened in the books. And it was a really nice moment also for Rand. It was, to me, it felt like it was symbolic of most likely something that's going to happen in the future, which is where he takes a potentially fatal blow in order to occupy Ishamael's blade so that he can run Ishamael through. It's like, I'm sacrificing myself. I will take a hit that I know is probably going to kill me, but it's so that you're vulnerable enough that while I'm dying, I can quickly get you. And they didn't choose to do that here. They literally just have him walk right up and, and then he's burned his hand, so he's got one of the heron marks on his hand now. Ishamael falls over. Oh, by the way, Rand's heron-marked blade is done. It's gone. It's been melted, blasted away. It's no more. Important to remember for season 3. And Ishamael's looking up at these seagulls, and he goes, oh, it's beautiful, Rand. Do you see it? And Rand is like, see what? What do you see? And he's like, nothing. Like, that's what he wanted to see. And then he turns to dust and blows away in the wind the end of Ishamael. So he still got what he wanted. He literally could have walked up to Rand at any point in this entire show and just said, Rand, will you please channel into your heron-marked blade and run me through, because I don't want to exist anymore. Balefire me, please. I want to be dead. Because he got what he wanted. He literally got what he wanted. Unless this is supposed to be Ishamael dying and then he will be reborn again later. I don't think that's what this is supposed to be, because otherwise why would he say, I see nothing and it's wonderful? He would have been like, shoot, I got to do this all over again. But he didn't. All right. Anyway, that is the end of Ishamael and Mat, because we did both of them. They were basically on the same team, sort of, so that's why we've covered them. But let's move on to somebody else now. Let's move on. Oh my gosh. I really wish we got the giant battle in the clouds. How epic would that have been? We get a nice moment with Rand, but he literally did nothing. He runs up to the tower. He gets blasted by Ishamael. Then he gets shielded. Then he gets released. Then he picks up his sword, walks up to Ishamael, and sticks it into Ishamael. That was Rand in the finale. Oh, except for the thing that happened with Turok, but he just stands there too, so. This is supposed to be his epic rise to power. Oh wait, we gotta do the final check-in with Lanfear. So she's like, yay, I won, and she's walking. Ishamael won also. He got what he wanted. But anyway, she's off to go to the Quendiar seals and cast them into the ocean or give them to Doman, who's gonna whatever. She gets there and Mogideon is being creepy and she sees that all the seals have been broken and Mogideon's like, Ishamael let us all out, all of us. He had this sneaking suspicion that you were gonna betray him. What would it have mattered if she betrayed him anyway? He just wanted to be blasted from existence. Oh my gosh, I don't even care. I don't even know. So Mogideon, whatever, her girl, creepy, weird girl, is like, you and Ishamael were always too close to the dragon. And she goes, softly, softly from the shadows. That's what you always used to say about me, that I was too afraid, or something. But she's got Lanfear in her web thing. She warns Lanfear, stay away from him. He's ours now. All 5 of them are ours now. And then she backs off and disappears through a portal and her web vanishes and Lanfear's like crying and panicked. And she goes, oh, light help you, Rand al'Thor. Why didn't Mogideon tie off those weaves so that Lanfear was stuck in that thing forever? She was like saying that, forgot. Oh my gosh, I don't even know. I don't even care. Whatever. Just leave her tied up then. At least cost her some trouble. So what? Whatever. I don't care. The most telling thing about this, I think, is when she says, light help you, Rand al'Thor. And so we know that Lanfear is not necessarily on the side of the Dark One, which she's kind of been hinting at this whole time. And then it's sort of up in the air all the way to the end of season 3, like whose side is she on anyway? And it's like she's basically on her own side. She's on her side, but the Dark One still grants her this immortality. Anyway, whatever. It doesn't really matter a whole lot for this season or even the next one, because it just doesn't. But getting back to Ishamael, his plan made no sense. He got what he wanted in the end anyway, apparently. And he could have asked for that at any point during the entire series. and he probably would have been granted it. Like literally at the eye of the world, if he wanted to stop existing, he could have just appeared to Rand and Moraine and said, hey, I know I'm one of the Forsaken. I don't want to exist anymore. You should just Balefire me. But he didn't. Instead, he had to do all this other weird stuff, and it's not even clear what he was doing exactly. If it's like, okay, he had to pretend to be helping the Dark One, they're just, oh, whatever. There's no point in trying to think about this stuff. Let's just move on. So we're gonna go with Rand now, but we've also got Moraine and whatnot. So they're in the ways, and Lanfear's like, you two have been very quiet. Should I be worried? Talking about Moraine and Lan. And they don't respond. They stop in front of a way gate, or in front of a thing, and Moraine's like, oh, this is it? This is the way to Falm? And she's like, why don't you open it? And then Lanfear's like, why don't you? And Moraine's like, Shamael took my power from me. And
I can't lie!
oh my gosh, this feels very childish. Like what I don't know why they're doing this. They're doing it to like what? Remind us of the fact that Moraine can't lie? Like there's no point to this. Cause yeah, Lanfear's like, I know you've got your power back. I can see it in you. Like wouldn't Moraine know that, oh, I think they've taken that away from people in the book. Okay, in the book, you can see, you know if somebody can channel. All the eyes that I can. So Lanfear goes, you're alive still because I allow it, and that's the only reason. And she opens up the waygate and says, when the time comes, raise the banner. And then she blasts Moraine and Lan out the gate and shuts it. They're obviously not sent to Falm, but Rand is like, you channeled in the ways, my chin shin. Like, you had to remind the audience that that's a thing. It's okay. But like, that's the thing he's the most worried about. So Rand is like, open the gate again. And she's like, oh, there are faster ways to Falm than this. But I couldn't take all that dead weight with us. And Rand is like, do you think I'd ever trust you again? And she's like, well, I'm the only one who's ever cared about you. I'm like, I literally am the only one who cares about you. Everybody else, even Moraine and all the Forsaken, all they care about is what you can do. And she goes, come with me. And he goes, do I have any choice? And she's like, you know who I am. The deal was he wants her to take him to Falm so that he can rescue Egwene. I would not be trusting her, but I mean, I guess what can he do? He's right. So they got that right. And just as Machin Sheen arrives, they teleport out of there. Not like Machin Sheen is all that scary. All he does is talk to you in your head. In the books, he literally tears you apart physically. Then we get one of the weirdest scenes. Okay, so first we see Rand is in Falm, in disguise. I guess he's wearing a cloak. And he sees Egwene walk by, being led with the other, she's with the Soldam and the Damane, like being led off to the tower, but he just like lets her go. Okay. Then we jump to Turok, and this is just a really weird, Turok and his voice are having a conversation as they walk out into this courtyard, and it's like, the voice is saying,
our Sildam and whatever are on the tower, and our guards are off searching the streets for the Horn of Valir.
And Turok's like,
yeah, everybody who swore the oath should be protected, but anybody who raises a sword against us, they should be cut down. The only thing that matters is the Horn of Valir.
It's very bizarre dialogue for them to just be having. It's definitely there for the benefit of the audience, but at the same time, like, to what benefit? To let us know that the horn has been stolen off screen? Whatever. Then they all notice Rand, who's standing right there blocking their way, and they're like, stand aside, and he doesn't move. And then Rand says something that is clearly ADR. So they did not say this on set. They had the actor come in and record this line later so they could stick it in here, because otherwise he literally just stands there saying nothing and just standing there. But he's like, you people did this to her.
I said, stand aside.
You people did this to her. A heron-marked sword.
Why weren't you off rescuing her? Why did you go off to this courtyard to fight these people? Why didn't you go and rescue Egwene? What? And then we get the Indiana Jones moment where Turok notices his blade, which is on his back, and he's able to tell it's a heron-marked blade, even though it just looks like a squiggly on the handle here. I think the heron is on the blade itself, but he goes, let's see what it takes to earn a heron-marked blade on this side of the ocean. And then he pulls out his heron-marked blade and does a little thing, but Rand, just standing there using the one power, darts everybody. They all die instantly, except for the voice. For some reason, he left that guy alive so that in the script, he could go, I live and die for the blood alone or whatever, and then he knifes himself and dies.
Harakiri.
What was this scene? In the book, there is a battle, or a fight, duel, whatever, between Rand and Turok. What was the point of even doing this in the show? If you weren't going to do that, why do this? How did Rand know how to kill all these guys at will? Like, at what point is he learning how to use the one power at will? I mean, the whole knife thing was a thing that he struggled with, and this is pretty precise. I guess he missed the voice. This is really inconsistent. What is happening here? And we took away a moment of glory for Rand to show off that he actually has learned from some swordsmanship, which I guess it makes sense if the show, because they never showed him learning swordsmanship in the show. They did in the books, but here they didn't, so they didn't, whatever. There's like nothing to say about this. This is such a weird scene. Why is he even here? Why isn't he over on the tower rescuing Egwene? Instead, he's like, well, there she goes. You know what? I'm gonna go see if her captors are over in this courtyard over here. What? If someone handed me this manuscript, I would have said there's literally no point for him to be here at all. Like, there's literally no point. He should not be here. There is no reason he would ever go here. What is even happening? If you want to keep this and you have to establish that this happens, then you need to show us that Egwene is past these guys. The only way for him to get to Egwene is to get through these guys first. Like, show Egwene and them going off and these guys coming out, and Rand is like pursuing Egwene and has to stop right there because of them. That's all you would have. Oh. Then Rand pops up at the top of the tower, and he has thrown off his brown hoodie for some reason. He decided he didn't need his disguise anymore. But Egwene's just alone up there. Everybody else is dead, and the top of the tower is blown apart. He approaches Egwene, and he's like, I'm here. And she's like, how are you? Like, how are you? She thought he was dead. This is a really weird conversation between two people who, like, especially from her end, she thought he was dead for like the last, I don't know how long it's supposed to have been, almost a year or something. Because she also goes, how? Like, as in, how are you here? Well, obviously he faked his death. And she just is almost nonchalant, like, how? And then she goes, why? Why do you think? And he goes, I came to save you, but it looks like you didn't need it. That's the only reason why she said why, is so that he could say, I came to save you, but it looks like you didn't need it. We didn't need that to be said. We get it. And also, what a shame. We'll get to Egwene rescuing herself later, but he did nothing. But he goes, I'm so sorry. I should have told you. I thought it would be better this way. Come on, let's get out of here. And at first she shakes her head no, but then she's like, oh, okay, I don't know. And he's like lifting her up to take her out of there. And that's when Ishamael makes his appearance and goes, in the flesh this time, or whatever. And Egwene's about to do something, but then Ishamael blasts her and then blasts Rand off to the side. Just as he's about to stand up, that's when he gets shielded, because Ishamael sent the signal, and all the Suldam and Damane down on the boats send their weaves blindly up to the top of the tower, and they just happen to latch onto him. And then we get that whole speech, like, oh, you're just like Lews Therin. You're always trying to be perfect, a hero, whatever. And Rand, for some reason, is like, I'm not Lews Therin. You would typically have a character say something like this, like, I'm not Lews Therin, and then he could prove in his next move how he's not like Lews Therin, like he does something that's devious, which actually would be like Lews Therin. I don't know. Don't think. Ishamael goes on about how, look at what you did to her, to Egwene. You abandoned her and now she became a killer. And you're going to force all of them to turn to the dark, just like you did in the past, like you did to me. I don't want to do this again, blah, blah, blah. I'm really failing to see how any of this is a temptation to join the dark for Rand. Where is the logic here? Why? Because first of all, that's not what he's observed. And I'm starting to wonder if there was a scene missing with Egwene, where Rand is supposed to see Egwene like ruthlessly killing people that are good guys too, because the audience sees Egwene doing this, but we don't see that Rand ever sees this. He literally watches Egwene walk off, and then he goes and he faces Turok, and then he finds Egwene at the top of a destroyed tower. But he had that line when he went to Turok, and he said, you did this to her, you people did this to her. I thought he was talking about you enslaved her, and now she's like basically a dog being walked on a leash. But we didn't see her do anything terrible, and now you've got Ishamael saying you turned her into a killer. There must be another scene missing here. And then in that case, why wouldn't have Rand rescued her then? Like, why wouldn't he go rescue Egwene when he sees her doing that? Whatever. Don't think. Just watch. So in the meantime, we've got the horn being blown, and then when we get back up to the tower, you got Ishamael saying,
Well, looks like our time is up, so are you going to join us or not?
like, if you heard the horn blow, that'd be like, oh, the good guys are coming. Like, I don't know. It would just not be like, for me, the signal that all hope is lost. The only thing I can do is join the dark now. What? But Rand goes, I will never join the Dark One, never have in 1,000 lifetimes, that I know. And Ishamael goes, she's right. You're so much like Luz, but so different too, or something. And you can see that Rand notices Mat coming up behind Ishamael, and then he throws the spear, and it gets Rand instead. I mean, he must have been like, oh, dude, there's Mat. I thought he left me. Like, that should have been like a hooray moment. It's okay. Then he gets speared in the gut, which should be basically lightsabering him right now. But it's just sticking in him. Mat rushes over to him and is cradling him. And, oh my gosh, Rand, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. It's actually nicely acted. And then Ishamael's like, oh, you stupid fool. It's just a stupid illusion. And then he walks over and he's like, if it's any consolation, I'm sorry too, old friend. And then he's about to slash him. What was the slash thing about? You're gonna kill him? I thought that he gets stabbed by the knife and then turns evil, right? Isn't that what the point? Like, what is the point? Anyway, that's when Egwene wakes up and blasts Ishamael, and now she's standing guard as a shield, and Ishamael is like, you can never stand against me, child, or whatever, and they start facing off. Rand is just laying there. He's just laying there. Egwene starts losing the face off and turns back to Rand, I'm sorry. But then Perrin zips in there and is holding up a shield. And he's like, don't worry, I'm here, and Nynaeve is here too. And you can see Nynaeve and Elayne pop up, and I just noticed Ishamael notices them and does not start firing on them too. That would have been so easy. Just like, but I guess part of his plan is Rand gets healed and then runs him through. Oh, whatever. Elayne starts healing Rand's wound from the dagger, and you kind of hear this like whispering in his head. And he looks at Elayne and he goes, who are you? And she's like, I'm Elayne, and that's it. But then Rand is like, dude, you've got to do something. And Rand is just laying there like, oh, I'm healed. And well, sort of. I can't, I'm shielded. At that moment, Moraine blasts the fleet, which stops all the channelers who are shielding Rand. He stands up, grabs his sword, slowly approaches Ishamael, who stops blasting, by the way, in order to allow him the easiest access. Walks slowly up to him and inserts his blade. It's literally not even a stab. It's like, I don't know why he's holding it by the blade. That makes no sense at all, but okay. He notices the burn on his hand. Ishamael has fallen onto the ground, is looking up at the seagulls, and he goes, it's beautiful. Do you see it, Luz? And Rand is like, what do you see? And he goes, nothing, and then vanishes. And that's the end of Ishamael, and Rand is just standing there like, and he has a tear in his eye. But that was the end of their climactic battle. But they can hear that the crowd below is cheering, like the battle, the big epic war that had been happening, the invasion, whatever, they were being sieged, has ended. So Rand walks up to the edge of the tower and looks down at the people, and right at that moment, Moraine has sent this giant fiery dragon to wrap itself around the tower and roar. And so everybody's going, oh, the dragon is reborn. And you can see everybody, like even the Aiel are like, Karn, and like, oh my gosh, like he's born again or reborn, whatever. Everybody got gypped. They got duped because this is the power of one of the Aes Sedai. Like any Aes Sedai woman could just do this and they all fall for it. See, in the book, it was something like God tier level happens and there was no faking it. So when the Dragon Reborn proclaims himself, it was this magical side effect of him doing God tier level stuff. And so, him and Ishamael appearing as giants in the sky. How much, why was that not done? I don't feel like that would be a super difficult thing to do. But they did it, I think, because they wanted to have like, oh, we're going to have Egwene fighting Ishamael, and then we're going to have Perrin come over and he's doing it, and then we've got Elayne joins the crew, and it's like, I get it, the message is they all have to work together to do this, but he's still, like, you should come to that realization at the end of the story. Like, this is definitely going in that direction, like we all have to kind of work together, and we're all going to play an essential role in this battle at the end of the world, or to prevent the end of the world. That this is happening here, like we're learning the lesson now. Because in the book, it was very much just him against Ishamael. Everybody played little parts, but not quite like what he was doing. Here, he maybe did the least significant thing in just running his blade through Ishamael. I know that sounds like it's not insignificant, but it is, when the real battle was between Egwene and Ishamael, and then Egwene and Perrin and Ishamael. Like, they were holding the fort. Well, they were manning the wall, I guess you could say, to keep him alive. Moron was setting him free. Elayne was making sure he can physically stand up again. There was no proclaiming yourself in this. But that's basically the end of the finale of season 2. And see, when you get to the point after this would be the finale of book 2. Starting in book 3, Rand has like armies at he is in a camp full of soldiers. He's like, he now has an entire, he's got armies, okay? They are there for him now. And that's not where we take the story going forward into season 2. He's still looking for that army. This would have been like here I am, and everybody flocks to him from this point. Literally people from all over the continent, or at least from very, very far away, start converging at his camp because they're like, we saw that thing in the cloud. We saw you up in the clouds. It was a huge epic moment in the story. It was a turning point. It went from like, here's this individual doing stuff to like, now you are a leader of armies. And he does run away from that and then come back to it. But how much longer are you going to take the show before you reach that stage? Like, I mean, this should have been season 3 starts up like immediately with the next book, at least. Oh, there's so many weird things that have been done in this show. I feel like they did it because they thought it would be more epic in certain ways, but it's so way less epic because they chose to do it like this. Wouldn't it be more interesting to get to this second season and go, oh my gosh, Rand is like a god, basically. He's not just some normal guy, but he doesn't know how to control this. And the more he does this, the more insane he's going. And he's starting to go kind of crazy. He's like hearing voices in his head and stuff. And he's like constantly trying to not listen to them, but it's also kind of influencing how he feels. And sometimes his actions are being influenced by this. Like he's enjoying, not exactly enjoying, but he's almost relishing in the power in some instances because it's like, I know how to get stuff done and I have that power, so I'm doing it. And you don't get that. So I'm not sure what the mentality was in, first of all, having Rand do practically nothing in this season finale. And then, I mean, he literally, he's in the ways, then he sees Egwene but doesn't rescue her. He kills Turok for some reason, but does that just by, and that's it, no action on his part. He gets to the top of the tower, is like, oh, sorry, Egwene, I didn't rescue you, but at least you're okay. And then he gets blasted by Ishamael, then he gets shielded, and then he gets protected by his friends, and then set free by his friends. Then he picks up his sword and walks it through Ishamael, and then Moraine sends a dragon to like, hell, here he is, isn't he great? Oh, it's so pathetic. Ow. All right, I don't want to talk about him anymore. Let's move on to the next guy. For the heck of it, we're going to do Perrin next, but we're also going to kind of mix, what's his name? The white cloak guy, Dain. We're going to mix them up because they're kind of connected in this. First of all, I actually like something that the show did that I don't recall the books doing. Now, if the books did this and I just forgot, remind me. But I don't recall Perrin and Dain really having a personal conversation at all before Perrin kills Dain's father. No, I don't recall that at all. But in the show, they decided, let's have them talk. So that way, when Dain learns that Perrin killed his dad, which he actually sees in the show, he did not in the books. And I don't think he even heard that Perrin killed his dad. It was more like Perrin was with the people who did, and so he's like, aha, I'm after Perrin now. It creates this rivalry or animosity between the two of them, at least from his part, and like that's a special bond that the two of them would have going forward, which is what we get. Yes. The point is this. It's nice to have added that scene, they have a personal conversation, so that way it almost feels like a betrayal, and that adds to the hatred that Dain would have for Perrin. So it was a good choice to do that. So I have to applaud them there, at least. Yeah, that works. Did I miss a personal conversation that they had in the books? I might have. It's very possible that I might have. There's so much stuff happens in the books that I just like... We start out with Jeff from Bornhall talking to Dain and Child Valda and his other lieutenants or generals or whatever. And he's saying what their plan is. Like, okay, they're going to have their witches in the tower. So we have a couple of hours to take out the tower because that's where the main power is going to be. Otherwise, we don't really have a chance. And Child Valda's like, our scouts say there's about 28 of them up there. And Jeffrem's like, well, nobody said it was going to be easy. There are more of them, they're better armed, and blah, 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 but we've got something they don't. And he says nothing, and he's implying like they've got the light on their side. Everybody gets dismissed, and it's just Jeffrem and Dain, and Jeffrem's like, why are you giving them false hope? Like, we are so outnumbered and outpowered in this. And Jeffrem's talking about how the Watchers on the Waves, like basically Falm reached out for help from like everybody, like help, these invaders have come and we can't help ourselves. And nobody answered except us. And, basically pointing out we're doing the right thing. Even if we're outnumbered, like we have to do this, like this is the right thing. I like that they're portraying the White Cloaks like this. I remember this being in the books, not this specific conversation, but this like duality that they are the bad guys, but they're also virtuous. And for most of season 1, I think that we focused so much on them being the bad guys. Bringing in Dain at the beginning of this kind of humanized it because Valda was just so obviously an evil, twisted bad guy. But then you've got like the human side of this. And then we brought back Jeffrem, who to me was the most interesting thing about the first time we saw the White Cloaks when they approached Moraine and the kids just leaving the Two Rivers. And I was like, he's definitely a good guy. Like, this is showing that duality. I liked that. And then we're getting that here. And then Dain is talking about how, do you think that it's true what the prophecy says that, in Falm's greatest hour of need, the dragon reborn will proclaim himself bannered in whatever, you get it. And that's when Jeffrem is like, those prophecies are just the lies of long dead witches, and that's it. So they don't believe in all of that. But they still are going to do this. Even though they don't think that the Dragon Reborn is going to come and save the day, they're still willing to go and do this. Like, this is great. I like this. Our first scene with Perrin.
What are they doing now? God damn, I'm getting so sick of answering that question.
Walking and talking with the Aiel chicks towards Falm. They're literally like basically right outside the gates. It's really a weird scene. You've got one of the Aiel, I think it's Avienda, looks off to the side and goes, that doesn't belong here. And the camera shows Perrin looking off and you cannot see what it is. Whatever it is, it's blurred out. It looks like, I don't know, clouds? Maybe smoke? Maybe something, dust in the air? It is like, you can't see what it is. It's like somebody forgot to tell the cameraman, what we need you to do is you're gonna push the focus from Perrin, who's near, to the hills off in the distance, so that way the hills come into focus and the people watching the show can see what it is Perrin's looking at. But we literally cannot see it. This is just bizarre. They should have cut and inserted whatever it is that Perrin's looking at. If they couldn't, if they're like, oh shoot, we forgot to do that when we were shooting, just insert a shot of what he's looking at. Oh my gosh. Anyway, we don't know what he's looking at, but it doesn't... The Aiel girls go,
this is going to be a busy morning or something.
What do you mean?
Many people are going to wake from the dream today.
Shut up! Shut up! You're driving me crazy!
So Perrin stops and turns to Hopper and tells Hopper, stay, I'll be back, I promise, or whatever. And it's a beautiful dog, looks just like mine. But it's really weird that I swear this dog's not here. They filmed this dog separately and then inserted it. I don't know why, or they just overworked the lighting to the point that it looks fake. But that's the least of my concern. At least the dog looks nice and they walk off. I'm being nitpicky here. I just think it's weird. Like, why did this scene look so bizarre? I do think that the dog's not there. And maybe they never even had this scene, Or they're like, oh shoot, we've been on set too long. The dogs are off now. Like, as in the dogs can only be on set for a certain amount of hours per day. So then they had to send them home and they're like, we're not going to be able to shoot again with them. So let's just, let's insert it later. That's probably what happened. Time management. You guys need a better AD. In the next scene, we can see that there's this weird cloud approaching Falm, and the guards outside of Falm are looking into it like, what is that? And you see these children in it carrying these, they look like Catholic incense censers, like it's a burner, an incense burner on a chain, on several chains, and you swing them around to kind of spread the incense. I mean, that's an awful lot of smoke. It's usually disperses very quickly. You just get the fragrance, but it's this giant cloud, and then we see that the white cloaks are hidden in the cloud, and they burst out on their horses, and the cavalry, they bust through the front gate, and you've got Jeffrem going like, to the tower, and they all go off towards where the tower is. So good attack. I don't recall it being like, this is what they caused in the book. I don't remember how everything got cloudy in the book. I just remember that it was cloudy. So at least they got that part right. It's just that Rand and his gang, including Mat and Perrin, were all out in this fog when they blew the horn and decided we're going in. But no complaints about the white cloaks so far. So Perrin and the Aiel are walking in. They all seem to be together. And Perrin's like, are you sure you saw an Ogier around here? Or are you sure you know where my friends are? And in sign language, they're talking to each other going like, oh, I saw an Ogier. Yeah, I'm sure I saw what I saw. How did they see an Ogier, but Perrin did not? He's got the super senses. Did they separate and join back together? It doesn't matter. Anyway, they run across Loial, who's got the horn under his arm, and he's with Ingtar. It's just funny because Perrin's like, oh my gosh, the horn, how did you get it? And they go, we had help, a lady from Cairhien. So this is, I'm guessing, supposed to be Lanfear. This is like a scene that I'm sure was filmed, and then they decided not to include it, and I'm not even sure that they actually, I don't know. It's so weird that it didn't make the cut, that they didn't include that scene, because like this horn is very important. The big question was, how are we going to get it back? And then they're like, oh, we had help from a lady from Cairhien. That's how we got it back. Oh, weird. Then we get this really weird exchange, which again feels like characters speaking past each other, like they're not actually engaged in a conversation that's back and forth. It's more like, I have things to say, and then stuff happens. Ingtar goes,
they're going to realize what we've done soon. We got to get going.
Loial goes,
We can't leave Mistress Alvira.
Perrin goes,
Egwene?
and Loial says,
The Shanchan have her.
Ingtar then says,
Do you realize what that is that you've got?
referencing the horn, but he's not exactly pointing at it.
Do you realize how many of our men in Faldara died protecting that? It summons the dead heroes of the past. It is the key to the dragon winning the last battle.
Oh my.
He's definitely saying this, I think, for the audience's benefit, because I'm not sure it's really been spelled out quite like that yet. I may have forgotten. I honestly don't care, but he shouldn't have to tell Loial this. This is a weird place to say that. All he has to say is, we can't just hang around here. Our men died to protect this, to keep it from falling into the wrong hands. We can't let it fall back into the hands of the Shanchan or into the hands of the White Cloaks. And Loial says, what of the heroes of today? Like, what does that have to do with anything? That's what we are. We are all the heroes of another age, or whatever. It's time we start acting like it. Like it's not heroic to be protecting the horn. Also, I'm not entirely sure why they couldn't split up. Like, how about the Faldarans take the horn out of the city so it doesn't fall into the Shanchan or White Cloak hands? Whatever. Becomes clear what they're doing because Perrin's like, where is she? In other news, the White Cloaks are getting their asses handed to them by the Shanchan because you've got all the Damane and Suldam blasting them from this tower. Then we get more weird dialogue here. Okay, so we've got the Aiel are sort of leading the way. They're like trying to get to the tower, but they're going to be sneaky about it. They're sneaking towards it. And the Aiel are leading the way and like, stop. There's a troop that's going to go by. Okay, good, let's go. Like they're past. Like they're trying to make it so that they sneak past. And you got Ingtar going,
all these women understand battle like really well.
And then he offhandedly just says,
one man could hold 50 here. And
Perrin's like,
well, there'll be no need for that.
Why would you say that? Like, what is the point of like, you don't need to say that. They're not planning to stand here, and they're not planning to make a stand here. And I know that it's going to happen, but like, that's all. This is the characters knowing what's going to happen and foreshadowing it very obviously to the audience in a way that is like, how'd you know that was gonna happen? You can't do this. Just have him, like, this is just a thing we would pick up on. We would see that one guy can hold off 50. And then they're still heading towards the tower and they're like, oh my gosh, they're coming this way. And they turn around and they see a bunch of the Shan-Chan heading towards them. And Ingtar is like, protect the horn. And then he dashes towards the Shan-Chan and he goes, for the light and Shanoa. And like, he starts fighting the guys. It's a very wide alley. Like, this is not the same situation they were in a few minutes ago, or a few seconds ago, actually. And some people get past him and they're like, no, Ingtar, you don't have to do this, which he doesn't. But yeah, he told them to run. And then instead of taking out the first Shan-Chan that were right there, he kind of got into the middle of it. A bunch end up getting past him. So now everybody's involved in this fray. So they didn't get to run away with the horn. They have to engage in this battle now. Why did you do this? Why didn't you all just run? It's so goofy because Ingtar is like fighting these guys and he's like, go, I'll hold them. You obviously aren't because they're still fighting guys. They're on all sides. You're not holding them. You're doing nothing. You literally just jumped into a crowd of bad guys and they're still getting past you because and they get him. They spear him. And this, I'm not going to get into the details about what Ingtar's journey really was in the book, but it was not this. It was not a useless death. This was a redemption story for him where like he was obsessed with the horn. Turns out he was working for the bad guys. And at the last minute, he decided I'm working for the good guys now. And it was like, the only way I can do this is by sacrificing myself. And he was with Rand when he was with Rand most of this journey and then made this decision here. And it was like Rand got to witness his redemption. And then he went off and died. It's okay. It's not okay for adaptation-wise. It's not even okay show-wise, like on its own, because he gained nothing. He did not help the guys get away. He literally just sacrificed for the sake of... It was such a pointless death. Why? Again, we see that the White Cloaks are kind of getting their asses handed to them, not just by the tower, but like, down by the Shan-Chan and everything. But then outside of the city, we see that they are now catapulting huge projectiles at the tower. We get back to Dain and his father who are walking through the streets and Dain's like,
oh my gosh, it's actually working.
And the dad is like,
well, what, did you not trust in the light?
And he calls out to the people of Falm. He's like,
people of Falm, pick up weapons, like help us send your slavers away or whatever.
This is nice. Like, I like this. This is good. Where were those catapults though? And they must have some like crack shot precision men on those catapults. Because what was the plan? Only hit the tower. Don't accidentally launch boulders into the city streets where we are. Then we've got that scene where we got Perrin and his little gang. They're sneaking again. Now they're not running because I guess the Shan-Chan aren't behind them anymore like they were a few minutes ago. They've lost them. I guess Ingtar did have a purpose in his death. Anyway, so they're sneaking along and suddenly Mat comes towards them and Perrin's like, oh my gosh, it's you. Like they're so happy and everything. And he's like, who in the light are these people? And Perrin's like, oh, they're friends. And then you see all the Shan-Chan that had been following Mat show up. And Mat's like, I sure hope your friends can fight. And then, of course, the Aiel go after the Shan-Chan, also the one Faldaran soldier that is with them. But Mat and Perrin and Loyal are just going to stand there and watch. They do nothing. So while they're standing there, they look up to the tower and Perrin's like, Egwene is up there. And Mat's like, this whole conversation happens like, oh, well, Rand is going to go wherever she goes. And he's like, Rand? He's like, yeah, he's here. I've seen him. He's got shit hair, but he's here. And Loyal's like, we've got to get the Horn of Valyr to Rand, and Perrin's like, we don't even know how to open it. And Mat's like, why didn't you say so? It's so weird. Everybody else is fighting for their lives and they're just like standing there like, It's so weird. Like, it's weird that Loyal is even holding the box with the horn in it. I mean, I get it because he's the big guy or whatever, but like maybe he's got this. If I was going to try to rewrite this moment, I would have been like, Perrin and I are big guys and we can fight. We've been hanging out with the Faldarans and they've taught us stuff. So they thrust the box onto Mat and say, you're the fastest of us. Run this over to Rand. Like, get it over to him. We'll fight. And then Mat, as he's running, realizes he's got this horn. There's no way to get it to Rand. And then he's like, how do I open this box? And he uses the dagger to open it, pulls out the horn and blows it. Like, that would have been better, I think, because they wouldn't have been just standing there while everyone that they're with is fighting so that they can have a conversation. I mean, if you think about it, that's basically what happens anyway, because the Aiel and the Faldarans are not, well, one Faldaran are not able to hold off the Seanchan. They're bleeding through, so now Perrin and Loial have to join the fight anyway, and they're like, quick, get the horn to Rand, and so Mat runs off with it. Just the slightest tweak would have saved some awkwardness in this scene, and we would have had more action. I actually like all the action with the Aiel. I like the way that they're showing them fight. I mean, it's quick cuts, but what I'm seeing is nice dynamic fighting where you've got, thrusting spears and kicking, and then you've got them using their bows and arrows. It's a bit close quarters, but I kind of like that. It's almost like they're so proficient with this that they're comfortable doing that. They don't, waste any time with the draw, so I like it. So after Mat runs off, you've got Perrin and Loial fighting with the Seanchan, preventing them from going after Mat. And then next thing you know, Perrin and Dain are now in the same vicinity. And Dain's like, oh my gosh, Two Rivers, it's you. And they're both on the same side, so they're fighting against the Seanchan. Then in this weird moment, we see Perrin dashing through this building past a bunch of people who are fighting. It's like, is it that hard for you to find somebody to like help them kill a Seanchan? I don't know. Anyway, and he runs right up to where Child Valda is, and Child Valda's like, it's you, and then some of, I guess, Child Valda's guys go after Perrin and start attacking him, and then Child Valda is on top of Perrin. Why was Perrin in this situation? I do not understand. Like, why was he going through this building? He's supposed to be preventing people from going up those stairs to pursue Mat. Anyway, it's weird. It would have been better if Child Valda just came out into the street and saw him there, and Dain is too busy doing something somewhere else to see what's happening, because that's what we need. We need Perrin to not be around Dain at this point. So how about they were back to back fighting, and then they just get separated as the battle ensues? This is such a small complaint, but it's like, why? Why set it up like this? It doesn't make any sense for Perrin to have left the most important area that they're supposed to be protecting. So Valda is winning this struggle against Perrin, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, Hopper jumps in. It's attacking Valda. Perrin is off to the side, and you've got this wolf on top of Valda, and that's when Jeff from Bornhold happens to be walking by, just pulls out his axe and chops poor Hopper in the back, and then he goes, Valda, with me. And instead of Child Valda going after Perrin, he was really after, and the only reason he couldn't go after him was because of the wolf, but the wolf is now dead. Just okay, and walks off with and then, oh my god, it is actually sad. The dog is dying, the wolf is dying, and Perrin goes over to him and he goes into wolfy mode, and you can see the spirit of Hopper. All dogs go to heaven, right? I could not get that moment out of my head when I first saw this. It's like, this is an all dogs go to heaven moment. I mean, it's sad. It's actually a sad moment. This was the most likable character in the whole series, in the whole show so far, was Hopper the dog. And gets chopped in the back. Oh man, that's terrible. But anyway, off. Goodbye, Hopper, and hello, Perrin, pissed off. So he picks up an axe, walks right up to Jeffrem, who's on his side and is fighting, and it's not an honorable thing. Literally just walks up to him and chops him in the chest while he's busy with somebody else, busy fighting a Seanchan, and he's dead. So in the book, as far as I recall, Perrin did not kill Jeffrem. He was just blamed for it because he was there when this all happened. I don't mind this sort of thing, raising the stakes here, but it's there are too many other complaints for me to forgive even the slightest alteration at this point, so whatever. Right at that moment, Mat blows the horn, and then Perrin is double tapping Jeffrem while he's laying on the ground. He's already out, man. And then at that moment, Dain sees him and rushes over like he's gonna kill Perrin, and Perrin is, I guess, not prepared for it, but then suddenly Uno shows up with a shield and blocks Dain and blasts him off, and then Dain's own guys drag him off, and then Uno's looking at Perrin and Loial going, "Don't be so surprised, I'm a hero of the horn," and then hands him his shield.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum. Oh, shit.
And then while Uno is off fighting the Shan-Chan, Loyal, like, here, take the shield, go off to Rand. He needs you. We'll hold them off. Again, like, everybody's telling everybody, keep going, I'll hold them off. Like, they all keep saying this over and over again. Maybe this is only the second time it's happened, but it feels like a lot more. Maybe because I'm watching some of these scenes over and over again. But I do think it's funny that Uno's doing all the killing, and when you do see Loyal, who is like, we'll hold them off, he's literally just standing there watching Uno do everything. I guess he doesn't need to do anything, but still, it'll be like, oh, maybe I should run off and help get the horn to Rand too. I mean, there could be obstacles. Then we jump to that scene up at the tower where we've got Egwene is starting to lose her battle against Ishamael holding up her shield, and then suddenly Perrin zips over there with his magic shield and is now helping somehow. And how did Perrin get so freaking fast? Like, he was in lightning mode to get to Egwene. Like, he literally just like this. It's so weird. But like, Ishamael, who's way over there, didn't notice him like run over with the shield. But he had to zip. What? And it's really bizarre because he turns to Egwene and he says this.
I'm here, and Nynaeve's here too.
And she is there. When did they run into each other on the way to the tower? There was another scene missing. There's like, he's like, I'm here, and Nynaeve's here too. This is like, what? They all they had to do was like a silent, the two of them run into each other on the stairwell going up. When did Perrin see that Nynaeve was on her way to the tower? Anyway, he just stands there with the shield and does basically that until, we got Rand getting healed, and then he stands up, and then he goes off and he kills Ishamael. Ishamael dies, and then there's the whole dragon thing and all that, but Perrin's just standing there like that. He at least did the thing where he killed Jeffram after Hopper got killed. Where does this magic shield go? I don't know. Okay, this wasn't the worst Perrin episode. That was definitely the last episode was the worst Perrin episode, but this is not good either. And it does do some weird things where it was like, okay, Dain actually is pretty justified in hating Perrin now. So we've complicated what his journey is going to be going forward, because instead of him coming to terms with, I was tricked into hating you, now it's going to be, you killed my father and I watched you do it. And now anyway, moving on. Let's do the most ridiculous perspective. We're going to do Nynaeve and Elayne. So we're right where they were before. They've just captured that other Suldam lady and, collared her, and they're dressing up Nynaeve as one of the Suldam, and she's like, so Elayne, how do I look? And Elaine's like, you look good, and she goes, so what next? And then she turns to the Suldam girl, who's now the Damane, and she's been collared, and she's like, you're going to tell us everything you know about the kennels. And this becomes the most pointless interrogation ever, because they never actually go to the kennels. Their whole thing in this entire thing is completely pointless. It's so unrewatchable. Anyway, let's go. Nynaeve is saying, don't lie to me, tell me where they would have taken Egwene, and all the Suldam girl, Suldam now turned Damane girl can say is like, please take this thing off me. I'll do anything, just take it off me. And then she says that they would take her to the tower, but we can't go there because I don't want anybody to see me like this. And then Nynaeve threatens her, saying, you're going to take us there, or I'm going to make you curse the day that your father kissed your mother, which is a curse from the books. I liked it. And at one point, Elayne is asking Nynaeve, what are you doing to her? Because Nynaeve is inflicting pain on her. She's like, it's weird. I can feel her I can feel her in my head. It's like a bundle of sensations, and all I have to do is push. Like, she can cause her any kind of pain. So this is the threat that she's got. I mean, Nynaeve must be in heaven. She's actually got power and can threaten, and it means something. I seem to recall in the book that at some point Nynaeve told the Suldam, the Damane Suldam, the Suldam who was a Damane, told her, like, if you keep your mouth shut and were discreet, maybe nobody will notice you. Like, that it became very clear to her that it was important she not be seen. And this was a big clue about the secret of the Suldam that we would discover, and it becomes a big key to why the Suldam can control Anyway, They seem to cut that. I really seem to remember that from the book, and it ended up being cut out here, or maybe it happens later, I don't remember. But either way, they just decide to keep going. Well, anyway, that's it. It was a fine scene. It was actually a fine scene. They're walking through the city. Everything's gone to hell. Nynaeve is just the worst at pretending to be a Suldam. Like, she looks so obviously not like a Suldam. I mean, I guess, like, the actress was probably told to do this for this moment, but it doesn't make Nynaeve, the character, look very smart. I mean, she was just a moment ago torturing this girl, and now she has to know, I've got to look like the part. I have to look like the Suldam. But instead she's walking around like this, and, you know, and Elayne is like in front of her pretty much. It's okay. It's actually fine. I just don't like it. But then the catapults start launching stuff, and as they're walking out down this street, all of a sudden a white cloak archer nails the Suldam girl in the neck, and you see Nynaeve go, oh, like this, like she felt it too. This just didn't seem to be a thing before. Anytime that we were, okay, this should have been hinted at least in the training of Egwene, when you had Rena, it was Rena, right? Training Egwene, like, does she feel the pain that Egwene feels? I thought it only goes one way. Anyway, the bracelet falls off of Nynaeve, but then Elayne ends up getting shot in the knee. I mean, they do kind of deserve it. Like, the Suldam Damane girl just got shot dead, and they just stood there. Like, you never assumed we're targets because we look like the bad guys here, and you just didn't take shelter. Why not? The girl gets shot and falls over, and Nynaeve is like this. Elayne grabs Nynaeve and pulls her off to the side, and they hide, and they just watch that she dies. Her collar comes off, Nynaeve's bracelet thing comes off, but then another archer who's in an area that can still see them takes out Egwene if you have to have her get shot, which you don't. And even after Elayne gets shot, she's laying there in the open, and Nynaeve runs over to her and is like gonna try to channel the arrow out, but like, you know, she can't. They're still out in the open. She should be dead. Whoever shot Elayne should be shooting her right now. Oh my gosh. Drag her off to the side and I would like to point out that this getting shot thing happens at the 34-minute mark, and there's 35 minutes left of this episode. Just keep that in mind. Almost 10 minutes later in the episode, we see that Nynaeve is still there trying to channel, but can't. She's panicking. She's seeing all the people running around and is freaking out. Looks like the Shan-Chan might be winning. And then Elayne is like trying to coach her, like, close your eyes, relax, picture the bud, and like, you know, which is a metaphor that they use a lot. I think they mentioned it in the beginning of this season with Alana coaching in the kitchen or whatever. And Nynaeve is like, it doesn't work like that for me. It's either there or it's not. They're hinting, not very well, that this block of hers is broken by something that she's not feeling right now. It's not fear, because fear is the thing she's feeling. It's anger. But she's still not doing anything. And all the things that have happened since this moment. The tower got blasted. Egwene set herself free from her damane. A Shamael shows up and starts attacking Rand, and then Rand gets up and he gets shielded. And then you have Perrin and all of those guys end up meeting up with Mat, and then they bust open the box with the horn, and Mat runs off. Like, all that happens. And Nynaeve is still there trying to channel this leg. This is what happens from not having a plan for what your characters are going to do. Like, they had all this setup that they were going to set Egwene free, and then they don't do it. They just sit here in the street trying to channel and not channeling. The next time we check in with them, which is almost another 10 minutes later, they're still doing it, and still nothing. And in the meantime, we've had Perrin killed Jeffram, and then Dain saw him, and then, like, oh my gosh. Mat blows the horn, the heroes show up, they start fighting everybody. Perrin gets rescued by Uno, like, a ton of stuff happens. And they're still in the street. And then the weirdest thing happens. It's so weird. So Elayne is like, it's okay. You're not making any like, obviously you don't know what you're doing. This is not helping. We are literally just sitting here for 20 minutes doing nothing in the middle of a battle in a street where we're wide open for more arrows. She's like, your wisdom. Use what you know. And apparently Nynaeve, as a wisdom, knows to push this arrow into her knee joint with the fletching still on it. Did the person who wrote this scene, have you never ever seen any other movie where somebody had to push an arrow through? Because yes, it makes sense in certain cases to push the arrow through because of the way an arrow is shaped. When it's going in, it's got these barbs, so you wouldn't want to pull it out because you'll literally tear everything on the way out. But this is a knee joint. Where are you pushing it through? Unless it's like, they should have shown it's through her thigh, not through her knee. It's in her thigh, because then it'd be like, okay, you push it through, not into the bone, obviously, but it's going through flesh or something. But then like, you'd have to, whatever. But you break off the fletching and then you push it through. Elayne absorbs this arrow. She absorbs this arrow the way that Ishamael absorbed an arrow through his eyeball in the finale of season 1. I swear, my 10-year-old, well, he's not 10 anymore, but my nephew would have known you have to break the fletching off. You have to break the end of it off. And they sure took a long time to decide, you know what, let's not just sit here doing nothing. That's actually even worse than her pushing the arrow into her knee, I think, is them sitting there in the open, because they should have been killed. She's the enemy. They're surrounded by white coats, cloaks, whatever. Nynaeve should be dead. There's no excuse for this. There's absolutely no excuse for this. You also have 2 characters who've been, for the past several episodes, been doing nothing but trying to get to Elayne or Egwene to rescue her, and they have no part in her rescue whatsoever at all. No part at all. Nothing that they did leading up to this point amounted to anything. It was all thrown out. Them dressing up as a Suldam and a Damane or whatever, gone. Them learning about the collar thing, doesn't matter. Them sneaking into like, none of this mattered. None of the, like, we have to get to Egwene. None of that mattered, because they do nothing. They contribute nothing. And all of this is attempted to be rescued by this last line as Nynaeve is hoisting up Egwene or Elayne, and they're like, we have to get to Egwene, she'll need us. And Elayne is like,
just leave me, I'll slow you down.
Whatever she's going through, she's gonna need you more than me. I don't know if I'll be able to channel when I get there.
That does not erase the fact that we spent all this time building up that they're gonna be able to set Egwene free, because she cannot possibly free herself, but apparently she can. It was way more threatening in the books, this idea of being trapped as a Damane, because you cannot escape. There is no escape. Your only hope is that you are rescued somehow. And these 2 are the ones who figure out how to rescue her. They figure out how to unlock this thing. And then they get to Egwene and they set her free. Like, that was her only hope, was that somebody who was a very powerful Aes Sedai was going to figure out how to get this thing off of her without killing her. Or because you kill the Suldam, you kill the Damane. So you can't do that. So they had to figure out how to unlock it. And so then that becomes a thing later on, where Elayne is really good at figuring out these things. Like, she's basically like she's a puzzle solver when it comes to these ter'angreal. And Nynaeve is really good at figuring out how to control this thing. It doesn't matter. Either way, this becomes a big thing for these 2 characters going forward, except they don't do the things that, like, show them this is the way your character should go moving forward. And it's unreadable, unrereadable, or unrewatchable, I guess I should say, because the books are, yes, that all makes sense. They do all those things. Don't put your characters on a path where there's only one destination, and then you're like, man, they're really going to take off from that spot after this. You can't, in the show, they should be doing this. Oh, there's really no point in trying to understand what they're doing in the show here, because they're just doing their own thing. I wonder what their plan was. What was their plan for, we're going to have Elayne be the one who's like, man, this thing, like, we've figured out how to open it. And, Nynaeve is like, this is a really good way for me to figure out how to channel, because she's kind of starts doing this where she's using she's actually wearing the bracelet thing, and it's helping her understand how to force somebody to channel. And then that is something she's doing with Siuan, like, to try, because Siuan doesn't die. Oh no. There's literally no point in comparing this show to the books, because it's not it's not really comparable. Is inspired by The Wheel of Time, but certainly not an adaptation. Remember that Perrin and Nynaeve have not seen each other in a long time because he didn't leave Faldara. Nynaeve did. So they've been corresponding with letters, and mostly between Perrin and Egwene, which Nynaeve is present to read. And then when Nynaeve found out that Perrin was in trouble, that's when she and Egwene were like, oh, let's go save them. And they go off with Leandrin and then they get captured. So Perrin has not spoken with Nynaeve, and Nynaeve has not spoken with Perrin in a long time, since Faldara. And yet, when they get to the top of the tower, apparently they met in the stairwell, because Perrin's like, I'm here, and Nynaeve is too. And then Nynaeve gets up there, and she's got Elayne, and for some reason, Ishamael doesn't blast him, and then they scooch over to where Rand is so that Elayne can heal him, and Nynaeve does nothing but watch as everybody else does stuff. We do at least get one shot of the camera pushing in on Nynaeve after Elayne is like healing him, and it's obviously a complicated wound, which they haven't really shown that Elayne is like into healing. She was in the books, like that was her main thing. Like she's not brewing, healing. But anyway, Nynaeve looks like,
oh, if only I could do this too. But anyway.
Just like Perrin, she just stands there as everybody else does stuff. Rand gets up, kills Ishamael, the dragon thing happens, and she's just like, there. That's the end of Nynaeve. At least she had the interrogation scene at the beginning, but again, like, what did that... All they got from that was Elaine's in the tower, which they probably could have figured out if they went outside and looked outside, because they would have seen that, oh, all the Suldam are up there with their Damanes firing down. That's probably where she is. You did not need to interrogate this lady to figure that out. What was the point? And don't come at me with, like, Elayne had to heal Rand. I really, what led to that? Just her being there. I think I need a break before I move on to the next character. It was really hard for me to decide to come back and finish this because I know all I've got left are either Moraine or Egwene. We're gonna save Egwene for the end. We're gonna just jump right to Moraine. So we had the whole bit in the beginning where she's in the ways with Lanfear and Rand, and of course Lan. And the whole thing where she's like, is this the way to Falm? Because Lanfear leads them to a gate, and Lanfear's like, yeah, open it. And she does this stupid thing, Moraine, where she goes, I can't. Ishamael took my powers away or whatever. And Lanfear's like, oh, you twist words, blah, 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 all that stuff. It's so stupid. She's like, I know you got your power back. But at least Lanfear handles her. She goes, you're only alive because I want you to be alive and you still have a role to play. And then she opens up the way gate and flicks Moraine and Lan out the window and then closes it. And that's the end of that. So they are in this really cool area where it's just sand dunes for miles, and the way gate is like partially in the water. It's cool. I like that they did this. They definitely got some good locations. So Lan is like, where are we? And we don't get an answer. And then when we get to the next scene, they're just walking. Like, do they know where they are? Do they know where they're going? What? They have no idea if they are north or south of Falm on this coast, or east or west, if it's, you know, they don't know. But they're just walking. Thankfully, they end up walking in the right direction. But we get to them in the next scene, and Lan is like, hey, are we going to talk about the bond? And Moraine is like, do you really want it back after everything that I did to you? And he's like, well, I never asked to be let go. I don't know why he's pushing this. And Moraine, yeah, like, this is why, whatever. But he goes,
stop pretending. I think that you don't want the bond because you don't want me to know how weak you feel, how unprepared, afraid, blah, 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 because then you'll have to face it yourself.
And this seems to have an effect on her. And he goes,
you can't hurt me anymore, Moraine. It took me a long time to accept what you said about us not being equals, but I understand it now. And I believe in what you do, even now when I know not half of it.
At this point, he knows more than she does, because I don't think she's ever known anything, has no plan, nothing. I think she's just is making it up as she goes. And she goes,
the only reason I was able to say that we're not equals because I've known since the day that we met that you are my better.
I mean, look, this is very predictable dialogue. I think I predicted this back when she first said it, that we're not equals. I was like, oh, because she's going to say that that he is her better. Because you couldn't without her looking like the worst person she should never be the main character. So he goes,
let me back in.
Hey, what you trying to say to me?
And then she steps up to him and the camera circles around like 4 times. And she's like bonding with him. And then he's like in pain. And he's like, your pain is my pain. They don't say that, but oh my gosh. Out of everything that they've built up so far, this is maybe the thing that they were like trying to lead. We want this to be like a big moment here. But I just don't care about Moraine at all. Like, you can't be that cruel to people and then just like, oh, everything's fine. It doesn't work that way. Lan does not... Where is his self-respect? Where's your self-respect, man? Oh boy. So then we see them walking down the beach, and it's definitely a different beach, and it's like they have walked miles through the sand, which is not easy. But anyway, they comment on it. Lan's like, you're much faster than you used to be, and she's like, well, I don't feel like I'm carrying buckets on my back. Maybe because you were actually carrying buckets on your back before. So she's gotten in better shape. Hooray. Anyway, then she goes, you're thinking about Lanfear. And he's like, yeah, I can't understand. Why did Ishamael only wake her up? And that's when Moraine goes, well, everything that I know about them, which I don't know why, like, she would have done all this research and not, like, let him in on it. I mean, this is stuff that she supposedly knew before the big journeys that they went on. What did they talk about? Anyway, so she's like, the 3 of them... Well, first of all, she says, I think that he didn't wake the others because they're too dangerous. They fought amongst themselves as much against whatever. Then she mentions that Ishamael and Lanfear and the dragon or Lews Therin were inseparable. So that's why it's like just the 3 of them for now. And I don't know, I feel like this is all meant to be not foreshadowing, but it's like we're getting this exposition here about them. Like, why did this come up? Why did Lan go, why did he only wake up Lanfear? Why would that even be a thing? Why would he assume that Lanfear was the only one that got woken up? I don't think that's even something he would assume. He would just assume that they're all up, or there are many of them up, and we've only met Lanfear so far, right? But they're doing this in order to create that moment at the end of this when we realize that they've all been let go, like, oh no, this is what Moraine said, they're way more dangerous. But see, you're forcing the conversation, so it just feels like this is info dump so that we can like have context for the end of this episode. I don't know how I would do this. I probably wouldn't have done this. I would have been talking about how dangerous the Forsaken were long before this moment. It feels like this was saved for this moment. Like, this should have happened when they realized Lanfear was woken up. Lanfear's woken up. What about the others? Are the others up? And then they could be like, I don't know, probably not. Because, you know, it was mainly just Ishamael and Lanfear and Lews Therin. Like, they were a trio. So I don't think they would wake the others because the others were just trouble for the 3 of them. And that would have been like the beginning of this season. And then they stop walking on the beach and they can see the Tower of Fain. And Moraine goes, I think I know where we are. Lanfear planned this. First of all, thank goodness you were walking in the right direction. And secondly, like, you don't have to say like, I think I know where we are. You think? It's weird. She should have just looked at the tower, both of them, and gone, Fain. Like, they recognize it. And then she can say Lanfear planned it. I mean, of course Lanfear planned this. What do you think she meant by when the time comes, raise the banner? What do you think that meant? So then in the next shot, they're still walking towards the tower. Moraine sees that there's a bunch of people on the ship that are shielding somebody on the tower. And she's like, I think it's Rand they're shielding. And Lan's like, why would they shield Lan? What if Lanfear put us here so that you could kill all of those people on the ships? What if it's a bunch of innocent people? Why would he think that she can kill innocent people or people at all? That's one of their oaths. You'd think there'd have to be some way she could, like, I don't know, cut through their weaves so that they can't, you know, shield Rand and it wouldn't hurt anybody. It would just cut their weaves. Sort of like how Rand cut through Ishamael's weaves. But she turns to Lan, who is her moral compass, or should be at this point, and goes, I will let 1,000 innocent people die if it means that he will live. You should understand that that's what it means to support him. Lan, who looked mortified at this, suddenly like thinks, okay, you're right, yeah. But anyway, so a bunch of Shan Chan soldiers come running towards them on the beach.
Why are they here?
Yeah, what are you doing out here in the middle of nowhere?
But you see, it's a beautiful day, the beaches are open, and people are having a wonderful time.
Don't think, just watch. Oh, whatever. And so Lan is like, getting into position to fight all of them, and then he fights all of them. It is not easy to do anything in sand, especially a fight scene, and it must have been really hard. I'm not going to critique it that much because that's not easy to do a fight scene in the sand. It's like 3 times as much physical labor to do anything. I know because I have fenced in the sand. Oh yeah, and Moraine is channeling during all of this. She's channeling to the boats that look at least 2 miles away, maybe more. When you can channel from that far away, why do so many Aes Sedai die in the next episode, the beginning of season 3? I mean, she's channeling into the air, but then when we see the weaves, they're underwater. And then when we get to the Shan-Chan ships and we can see Lady Suroth, I think that's her name, she's looking ahead, which would be towards the tower. But the stuff, the channeling from Moraine's coming from the side, but then suddenly it's coming from the front towards them. And it's underwater, and it's on fire underwater, and it comes out and it blasts the ship. A bunch of people die in the explosion, which means that Moraine has killed people with the 1 power, which I think would count as something breaking her oaths. So, but it was just very awkward directing here. Where was the weaves above water or underwater? It was both. So she channels up in the air, and then it goes down into the water, and then up towards the tower and towards them. Okay. But that kills all of the innocent Damane, and they're dead. And so now they're not blocking Rand. I mean, what kind of mental gymnastics did she have to do to convince herself that blowing up the people on the boats was going to be like, oh, that's okay, and it won't break my oaths? Because that's the only way I think this would work, right? And she takes out basically all the boats, doesn't she? She takes out the entire fleet. Because after we see Rand killing Shamael, sort of, we get back to her on the beach. Lan has killed all the Shan-Chan guys, and he gets over to Moraine, and she's finishing off the fleet. And they are at least 2, like, it's got to be more than 2 miles. They're very far off. She took out that entire fleet. She's now doing the god tier stuff here. What do you even need Rand for? So Lan snaps her out of it, and he's like, the fleet's done, like everybody's retreating. And then she looks over at the tower, and then she recites the prophecy that she has been reciting over and over again. Above the Watchers, you'll become whatever. And so she makes a dragon out of fire, and it does its thing. This really doesn't make any sense. Why do they need the dragon reborn when they have one Aes Sedai lady who can do all that? Like, she could take out an entire fleet. Any problems that they have with enemies abroad, literally just station some Aes Sedai ladies on these towers watching for fleets. They get some more, bring them on over, take them out. If she can do the mental gymnastics that are required in order to be okay for her to slaughter all of those people, any of them can do it. Just saying. So here we are with Egwene. She's in her cell, and Renna's over here, like, getting her ready to go to battle, putting her makeup on her and stuff, and like, hey, we've been ordered to go to the tower. White cloaks are attacking the city. She's like, you're gonna get up there and you're gonna obey me. The first punishment for disobedience or whatever is cutting out your tongue. The second one is cutting off your hands. Let's go. And Egwene refuses to get up, and so Renna's like shoving a blade into her mouth, like threatening her. I mean, if she cuts out her tongue, how is she going to stand? She will bleed out, or she won't be able to fight. You can't do that. So I guess it makes sense that she doesn't. So yeah, instead of cutting out her tongue, she shoves the brass pacifier into her mouth. It's supposed to be a gag. It looks like a pacifier. And then says, perhaps it'll hurt more if I take this. And she grabs her braid and cuts her braid off, which her hair looks actually really cute, short like that. But then she goes, now come with me. Why would Egwene come with her after you cut off her hair? Like, this doesn't make any sense. She should have had to inflict pain on her, in which she could do literally just by willing her to feel pain. We've established that on multiple occasions in the past where we saw Nynaeve causing pain to the Sul'dam that she had captured, or Sul'dam that she turned into a Damane. And then earlier when we had the whole, oh my gosh, so many times we have showed that you can literally just will the Sul'dam, the Damane, to have pain, and she'll have pain. So why didn't she do that? I guess for the same reason that she didn't cut out her tongue, so that she wouldn't be weak for battle, but why would Egwene go after her just after having her hair cut? Also, we see that they at some point pause so that Renna can braid her hair, what's left of her hair for her, because it's got to be out of the way for battle, because right now it's just down in her face. And this is where stuff falls apart with the rules they have established so far. So in previous episode reviews, I pointed out that Renna actually says to Egwene, I don't need anything from you for this, and then forces her to channel. And here we've got, after Renna brings them up onto the tower and they all take their positions and they're starting to fire down at the White Cloaks, Renna is ordering Egwene to shoot. Or in the old tongue, I don't know what she's saying, but she's saying basically do something. And Egwene is like not doing anything, and it is pissing off Renna. Why doesn't Renna just force her to do stuff? Why doesn't she just force her? I don't understand this. This does not make any sense. Like, she's becoming a If they wanted to do it this way, they could have maybe established that, okay, so Renna can make her do some stuff, but not certain things, but still it doesn't, But yeah, anyway, so Egwene is watching the battle happening down below and notices the White Cloaks, and she's pissed off at them, and she's like anger building up, and then she just summons a big old blast and it shoots them. I mean, it doesn't seem like any more powerful of a blast than the other, whatever the others are doing, but okay, so she does it, and Renna's all happy, like, good girl. The next time we check in with Egwene, she's only sent off that one blast, but she's been watching the battle and notices that the White Cloaks are actually helping the civilians, and she suddenly regrets what she's doing, and Renna's telling her, like, again, but she doesn't do it. She turns around and she spits out her gag. Like, what is the point of a gag if you can spit it out whenever you want? What? And Renna's commanding officer goes, Renna, have you lost control of your damane? And Renna, like, pulls out a dagger and goes, no, I have not. Like, she's gonna cut out her tongue. Why not just make her have pain or force her to shoot? Cutting out her tongue makes no sense here at all. It would require you to take her away from the, whatever. So then we see Egwene on her knees holding out her hands, and Renna is like, I'm gonna chop off your hands. The dagger. And she's like, this is your last chance. Defy me again. And Egwene's just shaking like, no, I'm not going to. You're going to cut off her hands in the middle of the battle. How is she going to? I mean, I know we've established that she can channel without her hands, but like, she'll be bleeding out. She's not going to be able to channel at all for the rest of the battle. Just make her have pain. Just force her to channel. Anyway, fortunately, the White Cloaks catapult takes out the tower and everybody's down. But everybody's not down because Egwene is still conscious. Everybody else around her is dying. Like, she actually crawls past, I believe it's that Blue Aja lady who was a sitter of the Blue Aja, is dead next to her on the ground, and her collar like rolls off. I swear this lady was on the ships shielding Rand. If that's what it was, I'll put up a screenshot of it here. I can't remember, but I'm not gonna go back and check right now. I'll do it when I'm doing the editing. But anyway, Renna's awake too. Like, how did they live? There were Suldam and Damane all around this tower. They were in the middle, and it took out everybody on the tower except for these two. But anyway, this is where we got the demonstration of when you die, it comes off of you, whatever. So Renna's walking up to her and goes, it's your fault that the tower went down. It was hit from your position. It took out everybody, but anyway. And Egwene goes, good. And that's when Renna decides, I'm going to use my enforcement of pain. Egwene goes down to her knees. She's suffering, but then the moment it's let up, she thrusts the collar onto Renna. Renna goes, you idiot. The collar only works on women who can channel. And Egwene goes, I know. And then, of course, it forms onto Renna. And we get this, like, it's like when the villain reveals how they figured everything out. She goes,
at first it didn't make sense to me how we could connect to each other. I thought it was like the warder bond. But then I realized you could see our weaves too.
And I'm going, was it when she said, did you see her? She was brighter, whatever. That's not exactly saying that I can see your weaves. It would have been great if at one point we actually had Renna giving a hint that, like, she literally can see the weaves, like the threads. But just to say you're going to be brighter than she was, I don't think that is an indication that she can see the weaves. I mean, could this just be a thing that they all sort of know? Maybe. I don't know. It just doesn't work for me. It's not the worst part of this, though. And Egwene goes, we're the same. You, Soldam, are just so weak in power that the Searchers didn't find you. And Rhenna tries to punch her and, of course, gets smacked in the face herself. Remember, it would be, she's supposed to feel that pain. How much was it? Twice as hard or something? And Egwene gives her the first rule. You cannot hurt your Soldam. Like, I'm your Soldam. You cannot hurt me. But remember, Rhenna is also Egwene's Soldam. So Egwene cannot hurt her, and then she hoists her up with the one power, which she's using as a weapon, right? Did people forget? Oh. And she hangs her up on a hook that happens to still be there, hanging up on a pillar. And Rhenna informs the audience as well of this rule, which this was the stupidest thing. Do not remind your audience of a rule you're about to break. She goes, you're still my damane. You still feel what I feel. If I die, you die. She doesn't just feel what you feel. It should be however many times more that I can't remember the number. It was at least twice as much, possibly more. And remember, it goes even to death. And Rhenna's reminding us of that right here. If I die, you die. All right, I just looked up the rule to double check, but the rule is anything your Soldam feels, the damane will feel twice over, even to death. Now, if you're hanging, strangling, about to die, and your damane is supposed to feel it twice over, but she's just standing there going like this, that just does not seem like twice over to me. And they should have changed this rule if this is what they wanted to have happen. Just have it be like you feel the same as I feel. Like, that's it. That's all you have to do. You see, if you feel the same as I feel. She can be here hanging. Egwene can be, maybe she falls down to her knees, also like strangling, but like if I pass out and you're hanging up there, you're dead. And then I'll be dead too. But, quickly set me free. So she does set her free. And then she's like, okay, I've taken the bracelet off, I've set you free, now quickly do me too. Help get me down. And of course Egwene doesn't, and it does not take very long, but Rhenna is strangled to death. The end of that. Now they've technically fallen within what they think the rules were, except that they established that it would be twice as bad for Egwene as it would be for Rhenna if Rhenna is suffering. So if Rhenna is at the near point of death, Egwene should not be just standing there taking it. It's like anybody could do this. Oh, whatever. This is not very satisfying. It should be blatantly obvious that some loophole was taken advantage of, except that, and then we'd be like, why doesn't other people figure out this loophole? Instead, they're like, she's gonna force her way through this. When you establish rules in a science fiction or a fantasy, you need to adhere to them. This is why it was much better when Nynaeve and Elayne rescue Egwene instead of Egwene rescuing herself. If this was literally the only problem, like the only change that they made and the only problematic thing that they did, it would kind of be like, okay, we can sort of let this go. But it still makes the whole being captured by the damane a weak thing, because it's not that scary if you can break yourself out of it like this. It's just not very strong use of the rules that were established here. Just change the rules. That's all you got to do is change the rules. But then even there, you have to then say, okay, some people have managed to bust out of this. Whatever. I really don't care that much. Rather than dashing down from the tower, which she should be desperate to get out of this situation, she just sits there, and then Rand shows up, and she's like, huh? And she basically has to be convinced, like, come on, it's time to go. I'm like, okay. And that's when Ishamael shows up, and he's obviously a threat. She's going to stand up to him, but she gets blasted off to the side. We know how this goes. She gets up in time to see Ishamael about to kill Rand, and then she becomes the shield, and she's facing off Ishamael, and she's slowly progressing on him until she's weakened, and then Perrin. At this point with Egwene, you've overpowered her too early in the series. Ishamael is a perfectly healthy Forsaken. She has just been through torture and whatnot, and she's able to stop a Forsaken. Like, the next time they meet, she should be able to just, you're done, and out with the Forsaken, but she's not. When you have a big, long story, and you've got a character that is going to be growing in power all the way through, you really don't want to overpower them too early in the story, because then anytime that they face challenges later on where you're going, well, wait a minute, this is another Forsaken, just like Ishamael, and she's supposedly way more powerful than she was then, why is she not just wiping the floor with this guy? You have to pace it out like this. You have to make it a slow progression. There's not much more to say about it except that. She manages to hold off Ishamael with the help of Perrin, until the shielding is broken on Rand, and then Rand is able to pick up his sword, and then she drops the shield, and fortunately, Ishamael stops attacking, and then Rand is able to kill him, and that's basically the end of that. This was so disappointing when people, especially to book readers, not getting the finale that we had in the second book, with Rand actually doing something that proves he is the Dragon Reborn and that he is kind of a god tier level being, which actually would make him turning or being, you know, going insane a lot scarier. Because, like, dang, he can do some stuff. And it's hard to have anything to say. There were so many weird ass things happening with all the different characters. The fact that Nynaeve and Elayne showed up and basically did nothing, and that their entire journey to this point was nothing. And then Perrin, for some reason, has this shield here that seems magical, and then it's gone. And then just what is the point of this? It's so obvious that there was no planning in the entire season leading up to this moment. Maybe there was a rough idea, like, oh, we'll eventually do this, but there was nothing intricate about the design of everybody's journeys leading to that moment. And so it makes it very unsatisfying to get to this and go, like, what led to Perrin and the shield here? Uno picking up a shield and handing it to him. What led to Mat? I guess Mat stabbing Rand we kind of get, but then, like, that was part of Ishamael's plan. So then you have to go, well, why did Ishamael want him here for this? Like, what was that even about? And then the whole Rand and Elayne, like, who are you? I'm Elayne. And it seeming like this is a special thing. It's a very special thing in the book because they become a romantic couple for a reason, and they don't in the show. Anybody who had doubts about, oh, maybe the ending of season 1 was bad because of COVID and all these other reasons, was waiting for this episode to be like, you see, they actually are trying to do the right thing. They are trying to do a faithful adaptation. There's no way you can look at this and say, yes, this is what was an improvement or a good representation or replacement of what happened in the books, because it's just not. It's nowhere near what happened in the books. And I am not against truncating. I'm not against deleting certain things. I'm not against adding things. I'm not against altering them because it'll be easier to do on camera. But it was like everything was different. Everything was different, which gives certain events new meanings that aren't in line with what they were in the books. So that means that the things that are going to happen later aren't going to be in alignment. And so they're like, what are they going to change the stuff in the future? This is why, especially at the beginning, when you are establishing the foundation of your story in an adaptation, the more you change at that foundation level, that means the bigger the changes are going to be later on. Otherwise, you're going to have to force things back into place, and it's not going to feel like you got to the result you were trying to get to naturally. So that's all I got to say about season 2. It was a huge disappointment, and I do feel bad for everybody who was expecting that this was going to be like, you see, they're going to do it right here, because it's just, that's it. I really have nothing left to say. Please like, subscribe, and comment, even if it's just with an emoji. It is totally free for you, and for me, it might help me make some money. Otherwise, if you have the means and you're feeling generous, check out my Patreon, Ko-fi, or hit the money heart thanks button down below. Be good to yourself.